With the 20th anniversary of Lost just upon us in a few weeks, I figured this would be the perfect time to release a Lost Characters tier list. Now this is just one of the ones I found. I didn't add any characters to it. I did look at a couple different ones. Some of them had way too many characters I didn't even remember their names. And I watched this series through at least 3 or 4 times now. Just got finished with a rewatch recently in the last week or two, so it's fresh on my mind. So without further ado, let's switch over and see what we got here. So we've got just S through D. I think that's all I'm going to need. So, if we're starting here at the beginning, we've got Ana Lucia. I guess these are alphabetical, huh? That makes sense. Ana Lucia is an interesting character. I really like Michelle Rodriguez, the actor who portrays Ana Lucia. But Ana Lucia kind of sucks. First of all, she's a cop. She's also a cop that likes to abuse her power. She continues abusing power on the island, and is overall a terrible human. I don't know which of these takes are going to be controversial with the Lost fans, because I haven't watched a lot of other people's tier lists on this, so we'll see. But for Ana Lucia, we're going to go ahead and throw her in the C tier. Next is Ben, and Ben is a character that's very fascinating. The character development and backstory of this character is one of the most interesting things about Lost. Ben has always been one of my favorite characters. He starts out as a villain and ends up being one of the most well-liked characters, I think, by the end. A lot of people, I think, probably don't like this character. I don't know how people feel about him, but Ben, for me, is an S-tier character. Moving on from Ben to Bernard. There's not even a lot to say about Bernard. It's really nice when you see him and Rose reunited, but other than that, it doesn't go very far, you know? He's kind of annoying other than that. I hope I'm not alone in that, but again, we're going to throw him in the C tier. Not much else to say about him. Boone is an interesting character too. His whole thing with his sister is a little... But his whole thing with Locke is very interesting. Once he starts hanging out with Locke, and they discover the hatch. I like that actor a lot. He's in The Rules of Attraction. Very interesting look to him, but the character Boone is not my favorite. I would say he's probably B tier for me. He's very mid, which is going to bring us on to Charlie. And Charlie's a very complex character. I'm going to break a lot of hearts by not immediately putting Charlie in the S tier. Because here's the thing, I really like Dominic Monaghan. I like Lord of the Rings. He's part of both shows, both properties, you know, Lost and Lord of the Rings. Every time I rewatch Lost, I like Charlie less and less. It's not the drug thing, you know, I can understand that. But it's his other times where he's going crazy, he's sneaky, he's just very weird, and showing him before he came to the island, I mean, that's kind of the point of a lot of these broken people. And they have development, so you gotta acknowledge that, but not my favorite anymore. Used to be, like, maybe if I did this list 10 years ago, Charlie would have been S tier immediately. You know, but for now, I'm going to have to go B tier with Charlie. Yeah, he's alright. Has a few good moments, but also Charlotte. So, Charlotte's another one of those characters that's kind of just annoying to me. I don't have even a lot to say about her. She's there and then she's not. I don't absolutely hate her, but I kind of just don't care, you know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling about Charlotte. Christian Shepherd, Jack's dad, which is a very interesting character. Anytime you see him on the island, it's not actually him, it's the man in black, if you will. The smoke monster. But when you see him in the real world, he's kind of a terrible human. So what do you do with that? I don't know. I really don't. I'd say D tier. He arrives in a coffin, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's for the best. Is anybody surprised yet? We're actually getting to some very interesting characters now, so we are at Claire, and Claire is very interesting. I like Claire. She has her moments, and when she comes back and she's all like feral Claire, I'm way less into that, but you want to see her come back to normal because you're like, this is one of our original characters. And she was just kind of gone for a season. And she was also in the Hills Have Eyes remake, which I really enjoy as well. It's one of the best horror remakes out there. Clear, though, is going to be my first A tier character, I think. I quite enjoy her. Up next, we've got Daniel Faraday. And this guy is also in Twister. I'm a big Twister fan. And I actually really enjoy Daniel Faraday's character, too. Sometimes, I think the worst he is in the last season when they show him and he has that goofy fucking hat on for that concert. Oh, God, that's an awful scene, but other than that, Daniel Faraday, when he's talking about the physics and the time travel and everything, I really like it. Some people don't like his performance, but I think it's very interesting. It's enjoyable. It's a fascinating character. It reminds me of Doc Brown, you know? Doc Brown if he had more social issues. Daniel Faraday's going A. And next up, we've got Desmond. I don't know how people feel about Desmond either. I think people generally like him, right? Because here's the thing, I love Desmond. Desmond's love story with Penny is great. It's heart-wrenching. You're stoked when they finally get back to each other. It's one of the most heartwarming moments of the series. And Desmond is integral to the story. He's definitely S tier. Up next, you got Mr. Eko. An enjoyable character for me. I'm not even big into religious characters usually, but his character does it for me. He's very interesting. He's fascinating. By the time 5th, 6th season rolls around, I've completely forgotten about this character, but early on, he's one of my favorites. He's definitely A tier. Eloise Hawking. Character has one interesting moment, if you ask me, which is at the end when she helps them get back to the island. But other than that, don't care. Kind of a butthead. Kills her own son. Willingly sends him to die. Weird. Not here for it. And then we've got Hugo, or Hurley as they call him too. Come on. How are you not going to put him in S tier? This time around, there was a time or two early on where I found him a little annoying, but clearly one of the best characters on the show, clearly. And one of the most important in the long run. You gotta have this character throughout the whole movie. Ilana, gotta say, I just don't care for Ilana. Kinda boring. Doesn't add much to the story. Her relationship with Jacob is confusing too, but what are you gonna do? Then we've got Jack, which is one of the main characters of the show. However, not even close to being my favorite. I think Jack's very overrated. As the Man in Black says, you're the obvious choice, you know. Get out of here. I'm going to throw him in B tier. This is interesting. We're very even here. So far. That's definitely where I feel he belongs for me. Jack's very cringy and annoying a lot. Very often. It's his relationship with Locke when they start beefing with each other. Absolutely hilarious, to be honest, but that's about the best of Jack for me. Jin. Jin's definitely A tier. I do enjoy his character. At first, he's very ick. You know, we do not like Jin for the first season, maybe in the second season, but eventually Jin warms up and becomes one of the best characters in the show, I think. And then eventually him and Sun are reunited and have a very tragic death together. It's a bummer. John Locke. He's clearly an S tier character. That doesn't mean he's the most likable character or that, you know, I agree with the things he does or says, but again, he's one of the most interesting characters to watch on the show, especially those first couple seasons. It's just fascinating. And he has one of the best backstories. All of his flashbacks and everything are just tragic and very fascinating. And then we've got Juliet. Juliet is a character that I kind of am very annoyed with for the first, at least, season that she's in. Eventually, when they time travel back to the 70s and she's with Sawyer, then I love her. So I have mixed feelings on her. I'm definitely gonna put her in B tier for now. Like, at first, I would have, like, she's probably C tier, and then she moves up to maybe A tier, so let's leave her in B. Kate. I don't know how people feel about Kate, but I love Kate. Kate is like the counterpart to Jack, and I think a much better character than Jack is. I enjoy her far more. Her character development, her backstory, very tragic again. Not tragic like Jack's. Actually tragic, you know what I mean? Jack's is like a privileged tragic. Like, it still sucks, but not in the way that John Locke's or Sawyer's or even Kate's sucks. This guy, I can't even remember his name. But that actor is really good. I like him. He's in Smokin' Aces and Abigail that came out this year. But he's truly annoying and an asshole. What are you going to do, not throw him in D tier? We hate that guy. Libby I have mixed feelings on because apparently she and Anna Lucia were written off for similar reasons, and I really liked Libby. At least where her character was going could have been super interesting, so we'll throw her in the B tier just because the way they dealt with her didn't quite match what I wanted to see from that character. Frank Lapidus. So Frank Lapidus is a very interesting character too. He's in Planet Terror. That's the first time I ever saw him in anything. Which is funny because the guy who plays Saeed is also in that. But he's a pilot. And he kind of jumps in and out for the last couple seasons there. From being not important to super important to not important to super important. I think he's another mid-tier character. Like, I don't love him, but I don't hate him at all either. And we've got the Man in Black, the smoke monster. I'm going A tier right off the bat. And I'll tell you why. His motives are very interesting. I really like the actor who plays the actual version of him, Jacob's brother, before he's in Locke's body. Because I think him being in Locke's body was just annoying, to be honest. That's one of the worst parts about the entire series to me, is him impersonating Locke for those last 2 seasons there. And next up you got Michael, and Michael kind of sucks. Great actor, great job with the character. Super annoying first season. It's kind of better the second season. And then his other appearances, when he comes back on the freighter, you sympathize with him, but he's still not your favorite or anything, you know? He's gonna have to go C tier for me. I wish I liked him more, but man, his backstory sucks too. It's very tragic, and even when he gets off the island, he's going through it. Let's see, you've got Miles up next. This is another actor. Very interesting. He's in Saw. And so is the actor who plays Ben. He was also in X-Men 3, and he's been in quite a few things, but I do rather like him. I like his character, his abilities. He's interesting. He's more selfish, but he becomes more of a team player by the end. I definitely think he's A tier for me, Miles. Is that Penny? So, Penny, while I love her as a part of Desmond's story, she's a little bit less relevant. I'm going to put her on the mid, and that's not because I don't like her, it's just because she doesn't have a lot of exploration. All of her exploration is in relation to Desmond, so... And if it's not in relation to him, it's her father, Charles Woodmore, so... Dude, I don't even recognize this guy. That's how long it takes to watch this series. I'm looking at him, and I'm like... Was this guy in an episode at one point? Because I don't fucking remember him. I don't remember her either. Every other one of these characters I feel like has a significant amount of screen time. I'm looking at these characters though, and I'm just thinking, who the hell are they? So, couldn't be that important, could they? Alex. So Alex is a fascinating character. Another tragic death. Not a bad character, just kind of mid. I don't love her character. She doesn't do anything that's super cool or eventful or impactful other than her death. But she's not a terrible human. She just doesn't have a lot to do. You got Rousseau, who eventually died also, and kind of lived just a tragic existence. Again, I think mid, B tier. I think that's where she belongs. Jacob. Honestly, Jacob's got to be C tier, and here's the reason, because everybody, is Jacob supposed to be awesome, he's supposed to be almost like a prophet, like a religious figure. But often he's just like he almost drowns Richard at that time when he meets him. He's very into kicking the shit out of people, and Like, he's not very Jesus-y or anything, so I don't know why he thinks he's so great and everything. You know, it's kind of on the smoke monster side on that one. And we got this guy. I don't remember his name either, but he's pretty important early on, and he is a little bit off the island as well. But I do really like his character. Very interesting, very fascinating. We'll throw him in the B tier for now too, because he doesn't have enough screen time or anything to justify being higher up than that, I don't think. Vincent, however, Vincent is S tier. There's no arguing with that, because Vincent is a dog. And if I was on that island, I'd be hanging out with Vincent 100% of the time. Vincent with me would be besties. Let's see, we got Charles Woodmore. I mean, he's a butthead, right? But he's important to the story. I'm going to throw him in C tier. Again, he has his moments, but it's hard to tell where his allegiances lie at all points. You're kind of just like, I don't know. Should I trust this guy? No. You never can trust him. I don't know. It's just a weird thing with him. Richard Alpert. I'm a big fan of Richard. He's fascinating. When you first start seeing him, and then you start seeing him in different eras, his character in his backstory is one of the biggest mysteries until they finally explained it all. And that actor's great, and I don't know how he's not wearing eyeliner. He has beautiful eyes, and I'm jealous. Then we got Rose, who, much like Bernard, I find it kind of be annoying, but I think she's better than him. She has her moments, for sure, though. She's not always annoying. I'd say she's a step up here. She's on this level. There seems to be a lot of people in this kind of mid-range, so. Up next, getting close to the end here, we've got Sawyer. And there's just no doubt about it. Sawyer is an S-tier character. The first season, he is a butthead that you love to hate. And then in season 2, he kind of starts developing a little bit. You've had enough backstory that you understand why he is the way he is. And by the 5th season, he is redeeming who he used to be. You know, he's, I think, the best character arc in the whole show. The breakout character for me. Definitely would be in my top 5 characters of the show, too. Saeed. Mixed opinions on Saeed. I know a lot of people would put him in A tier. Personally, alright, maybe they put him in S tier. I'm going to put him in B tier. Moments early on that I really like him. Moments throughout. But then he just does a lot of weird, cringy stuff and violent shit that I don't like. He's almost a terrorist at one point. Like, what are we doing here? We've only got 3 characters left. And, oh boy, Shannon. I gotta say, C tier. I don't absolutely hate Shannon or anything, but also, yeah, she's really annoying that first season. I mean, her and Boone both are. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling bad that he's in B and she's in C, though. Maybe I move Boone down to C. That make me feel better. Either way, moving on to Sun. Sun's a great character. We're going to throw an A tier, along with Jen. She does some questionable things too, for sure, but they're mostly reactionary to the terrible things that Jen has done. Very interesting story with her too. I always really like Sun. Lastly, we've got Walt. And Walt is, well, it's interesting because a lot of this, you know, the actor was aging, so they just kind of had to exit Walt and bring him back periodically anyway, but I'm going to throw him in B tier. He's mid. It's fascinating. I like the stuff where he's appearing to Shannon and he's all wet and like whispering and stuff. He's a very interesting mystical type character. And that's essentially it. That's my Lost character tier list. Let me know what you disagree with in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is good. Good placement. Personally, this is what I've got going. And out of those, I'd say my top 5 favorite characters would be Sawyer, Richard Alpert, Desmond, Ben, and Kate. If you're a Lost fan, be sure to stick around and subscribe because I do have some more content coming on Lost later this month. I've got at least 2 more videos where I'm going to discuss some things about that show. It is the 20th anniversary, and, I think it's time we talked about this show. And its relevance today in 2024. So if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.